Today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely.
I'm not sad to leave TYT behind.
Off the network, and we happily agreed to that.
An offer never came.
But stop doing personal insults. You're doing like personal insult after personal insult.
You look like a bitch. That's just the reality.
So why, if you think we're collaborators and we've taken a heel turn and we're working with fascists, why did you choose to get implicated with us all these days? But good news, no longer implicated.
Guys, this dumb host has been fired, humiliated because she effed around and found out. How you gonna go and call somebody a witch and then you gonna be like, oh, I can't believe I was fired? Of course you were fired. You did this on purpose. This was almost like a strategy. Obviously, anybody who you call a B word is gonna fire you. Are you stupid or something? Like, the fact that this is even up for conversation is astounding. And this goes to show you the level of entitlement of a radical leftist to think that you would be on somebody's network. Imagine that you built up a network. This lady, Francesca, is young still, okay? Imagine that you're Cenk's age. You done been working your whole life to build up a network. You hire somebody in, and then they go around and start calling you a I get rid of your stupid ass too. But anyway, guys, look, she's crashing out here on X. Okay, Cenk is still doing a 20-minute very Kasperian takedown of me to their 6 million subscribers. Anyway, I got a fraction of that, making a fraction of the money. Alas, Frantifa is strong. Holla at your girl. So she's trying to promote her channel. It's been good. Over 10 years at TYT as a contractor. But indeed, it's time for both of us to move on. There's too much at stake. There are still many good people at TYT. Sadly, they're not in charge. She basically wants people who are far leftist leading the network, who are even farther left than Cenk, this pro-Palestine maniac. She feels like he's not far enough to the left, even though he supports basically every trans. He literally supports everything that she supports. The one difference they have, he's willing to talk with Charlie Kirk, Dr. Phil, so forth. Breaking, Cenk has announced I'm no longer allowed to appear on the damage report with John based on disagreements with TYT's main host, and yes, calling Cenk a bitch for engaging with Dr. Phil, a guy who's joining ICE raids on innocent people. And she got community noted. ICE raids are targeting known criminals who entered the country illegally, not innocent people. I'm going to go ahead and upvote this. Okay, so upvoted that. So get wrecked, Francesca. Now I'm going to go ahead and react to Cenk and what he had to say about this. He did give a long rant, so I'm going to try to trim this down because this is like a solid 30 freaking minutes. But let's go ahead and react to what he has to say about this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be hilarious.
Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, Habituation Room, off the network, and we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward. I think what the issue is when others, among the issues, is when others say, only my opinion is the correct one, the moral one, everyone who disagrees with me is unintelligent, immoral, collaborator, etc. Well, we'll get to the specifics on Francesca in a second. I'm saying that
the irony behind that is that that's literally been TYT's MO. I basically started watching TYT when they came into existence. Like, they started around the time YouTube started, and that's exactly what they've been. It really hasn't been until, I would say, during Biden's administration when they kind of started to shift a little bit and started being more open-minded, because they saw how crazy the Democrats and Joe Biden were. They were like, this is too crazy, even for us.
Generally, and that they speak for the left. Well, let's find out if they do speak for the left. This is a little bit of Francesca, a little bit of Emma Vigeland from Majority Report, and spliced in is the actual facts about what the American people think, and interestingly, what Democratic voters think. First, let's watch this.
I'm a big Messi fan, so but let me just explain this to
answer
you.
my question. Would you allow him, if he said, I'm a woman, to play in the American women's
You're using
national
the
team?
wrong pronoun
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
Transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports.
Your argument is really bad on this, and you're out of your depth. You're correct that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, but your argument for it is just scientifically and factually incorrect. I'm actually not bad about this. I'm 100% right on this. I don't give a the scientific explanations. People, if they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a
And I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything.
because the societal interest of including trans people in society trumps stupid competition. Full stop. So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
You'd let Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team
Nutcase.
and destroy
Hell yeah,
women's football
welcome.
forever. You'd let Usain
it'd be
Bolt.
very difficult
Hang on.
to get a
Hang
ticket,
on.
which would
You
suck.
I want to do a little checklist here.
You can't tell me that these people seriously think that after going back and watching themselves, I watch every video before I post. I'm sure they watch their videos too. After watching yourself, you're thinking you're not some sort of unhinged maniac. Talk about having a complete lack of self-awareness. They're just getting on the TV and screaming whenever they're passionate about anything. It's like, guys, I understand some passion, but this is just unhinged lunacy.
You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team.
Yes.
Okay. You would
Yes.
let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing
Yeah.
team.
Opposing them in women's sports. You get 67% of Democrats, so 2/3 there. You get 64% of independents, so you get about 2/3 there.
So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
God.
Okay. So I think where the issue comes in is when things get personal. So we got 3 rules, generally speaking, on air here at TYT that are relatively bright lines. So one is, and I say relative, I'll explain that in a second. One is no lying. 2 is no threats of physical violence. And number 3 is don't denigrate personally the other hosts in the network over and over and over again. And I say relatively bright lines because it should be relatively easy to follow, but I get that people have disagreements about, hey, what's a lie? Are what they say about crime stats a lie or not? No, I'm not gonna nitpick that. And we get into heated debates from time to time, me and Ben Glebe in the past, me, Ben Mankiewicz, me, Michael Shore, etc. And I love those debates. And from somebody might cross the line and say something they shouldn't have, but we usually hug it out. And so I'm not nitpicking here. What we're looking for is, hey, are we all rowing generally in the same direction, or are some of us drilling holes in the boat? And so are you doing it over and over again on purpose?
No. She's not drilling holes in the boat. She's setting the boat on fire. Okay. It's about to be like this.
To try to create an issue, or even if you're not trying to do it, you are creating an issue by constantly attacking our own. And I have applied this 2 other times, which I'll tell you about in a minute. This all started, unfortunately, when I went on Francesca's show and we had what seemed like a normal conversation and debate about this issue until it made a turn. And this is part of the turn. Let me show you.
You don't have to do the sort of crackdown on the left around speech because I'm gonna do it for you. Or you don't have to come to me.
Cracking down. Again, you're misstating it. I'm doing the exact opposite. You're cracking down by saying, Cenk, you're out of bounds. So you should stop with your stupid opinion. And because you're implicating me.
I can't believe that a guy who I used to admire and who I thought had a lot of fight is trying to scratch the back of people who absolutely would never do the same for them.
So we just spent an hour and a half me explaining how I'm not scratching their back. I'm trying to get
But I can show you more clips,
to agree
man.
with us on things we believe in and we've always believed in. And you go back to scratching their back.
At least the trains will run on time.
The train's running on time, presumably a reference to Germany. I'm the collaborator, and I'm scratching the right wing's back by having my opinion. The opinion I've always had, an opinion I've had for years, and you guys have seen for years on the show. But if you don't agree with Francesca in that particular case and some other folks in the extreme left, well, you're not allowed to have that opinion. That is immoral by definition. and how dare you disagree with them? That makes you a right winger, a collaborator, et cetera. But if you say, hey, Cenk, look, I know that she's quoting someone, collaborating with an authoritarian government and saying that that's what you're doing and you're helping the right wing, and that she's not open to the idea of, hey, maybe there's a different strategy and a different opinion on this that gets us the same result, protecting trans folks or whichever topic we're talking about. Okay, if you're not, and at that point, I certainly hadn't done anything. I think that was, I didn't appreciate that, but that's okay. We kept going, and she's been on the network since. Then she started to.
Yeah. See, that was the first mistake. You should have went ahead and asked her in, because she already knew this lady escalated, and I have no doubt that if she would have remained with the network, she would have escalated it even more. She basically was trying to punk you. She was trying to cuck you. I don't know why people do this in general. It seems like women particularly love doing it. I don't know why, but it's just how it is. You can't let it slide. You better give it an old backhand, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Do more and more and more, and it got more and more personal. So after that discussion, this happened.
I like that we can both be very Mediterranean about it and get like super mad, but then rein it in and be cool, and then be like, we're just gonna yell, and then we're gonna be fine, and then we're gonna get over it. So that's the kind of beer I like to have.
Yes. Thank you.
2 days later.
I mean, I have my own thoughts on like why he's doing it. I think, if you think your brain was broken by the 2024 election, I think we're looking at a case where someone's brain was broken even harder.
Okay, but look, guys, if she had said that about another host, I probably would have drawn the line there. But it's about me, so I wanted to give more leeway. My brain is broken, and by the way, that's still okay. The first time she's getting super personal. Collaborator, maybe that's a political opinion. Now we're a broken brain, even though we were supposed to have a beer and we were supposed to hash it out and be okay afterwards, but apparently not okay afterwards. But then that was the tip of the iceberg. She continued again and again. Here's the next one.
I do think it's sad that even though they allow people like us into the fold and the fray, they refuse to learn from us or listen to us. And I think that when you have been doing this work for so long, and you still cannot grasp the idea of intersectionality, how race and gender and class all intertwine with one another, and how the fascist goal is to divide us based on these lines. I don't know like who you are.
Why would anyone say, I guess I can see why someone would say something so stupid, but it's never made sense, because the people who continually bring up the things that divide us are the Democrats. Hey, this person's black. This is an LGBTQ person. Oh, and then if a white person has something to say, it's like, why are you talking? You don't hear this minority? Like, these people are nuts. That's all they care about, is all these different demographics and what separates us rather than what we have in common.
Like I don't even know if you're smart. You know what I mean? I don't even know. First of all, I don't know who your political mentors are. I don't know who you look up to. I don't know what your touchstones are. I don't know if you know your history in terms of like civil rights, women's rights, gay rights struggle in this country. I don't know anything. I call into question all of that. It sounds like you are just an opportunistic mouthpiece who wants clicks time and time again.
Okay, so obviously it's getting deeply personal there. Opportunistic mouthpiece, can't grasp simple concepts, not smart. But guys, and I'm not angry. Look, people have different opinions and they want to make it personal. It is what it is, right? I'm more sad about it. I'll say something at the end about that. But to me, the attitude that is toxic, and that's what I don't want at TYT. I want to build a community that is really open to conversations, is they refuse to learn from us. So the idea is, well, obviously I'm right and the only moral center of the universe, and I already told him that, and this guy wouldn't even learn from me. It's just such a deeply arrogant thought. That if someone disagrees with you, they need to be re-educated, and maybe they haven't read any books at all.
This is literally how the Democrats and the politicians talk all the time. Sonny Hostin in The View says stuff like this all the time. Jasmine Crockett has said stuff like this, and I mean, this has got to be one of the dumbest people in all of Congress. I don't care what type of degree somebody got. That doesn't mean somebody's smart. I work with a lot of people with a lot of degrees and certifications, and I got my own as well, and not everybody is equal. Trust me on that.
And say anyone who disagrees with us a little bit is a right-winger. But the good news is, at least Francesca will not be implicated anymore. And I never understood that, because she's been saying this for a long time now, that she was implicated by us. Then why keep taking the check? And it's not a big check, and Francesca has had a career before us. She talks about that. Of course she did. And she'll have a career after us. There's no problem with that. So why, if you think we're collaborators and we've taken a heel turn and we're working with fascists, why did you choose to get implicated with us all these days? But good news.
Because they love to project. This lady is calling you the grifter. Meanwhile, she sits up here and talks extremely fraudulent, nonsensical talking points, takes your check and spits in your face.
Taking a check, and it's not a big check, and Francesca has had a career before us. She talks about that. Of course she did, and she'll have a career after us. There's no problem with that. So why, if you think we're collaborators and we've taken a heel turn and we're working with fascists, why did you choose to get implicated with us all these days? But good news, no longer implicated. Believe it or not, she did not stop there. This is now another show. Watch.
So Cenk's line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain it to you anymore. Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist.
Wow.
Because if you disagree with Francesca or anyone on that part of the spectrum, well, you must be a misogynist. You must be collaborating with the fascists.
The irony here of calling him some sort of misogynist. I mean, Anna has been his co-host like ever since I first saw the show. Anna was there. I think Anna and I are like around the same age. Anna was like, I think she's like a little bit older, like a year or something. But she's always been there, and she's the executive producer for the show. He's got to be like one of the worst misogynists of all time. This is the same thing, ironically, that they do to Donald Trump. They call him a misogynist, and his chief of staff is a white lady, Caroline Leavitt. He had three different White House press secretaries have all been women. I mean, anyway, let's keep going.
Obviously, you must be unintelligent. Now, if I had called her dumb, I wonder what her reaction would have been. My guess is nuclear. But I didn't call her that because we have a disagreement. We have a political disagreement. You don't need to make it personal. Not done yet. One last one.
Yeah, that's the big one.
What has it got you? What did it get you? When you go and share a stage with Dr. Phil, what did it get you? Nothing. You know why? Because you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is.
I posted a video about this already. I was shocked that she was still around. Did Cenk just find out about this or what?
That's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch. That's just the reality. I've tried to tell it to you nicely. I've tried to tell it to you cordially. I've tried to tell it to you on your show, on my show, on every show. And so either you A, are a bitch,
wow,
or B, you actually agree with the right. And I'm starting to think, in fact, I do think it's the latter.
Okay, so again, if I had called her that would have been a different situation, right? But look, guys, also on the policy or the strategy, when you go talk to the right wingers, first we did that, and I mainly did that, and there was a lot of blowback saying don't ever talk to the right wing, but they won the popular vote. How are we going to win back the voters if we never talk to them? If we don't win them back, we can't ever win an election. And that doesn't mean the far end of MAGA. It means the independents that voted for Trump and maybe some right-wing populists that voted for Trump. Now I've noticed that that faction is now saying, well, I mean, of course we should talk to the right, but we should only yell at them or we should only accost them. That seems like a really productive conversation.
That's
and
what's been happening.
now I guarantee you they'll say, no, I don't mean just yell at them, but just like build coalitions. As Francesca said recently, apparently she's changed her mind about being a collaborator, but not with Trump voters. Well, who would it be if it wasn't Trump voters? Those are the folks on the edge of the middle of the spectrum that we got to bring to our side. We've got to convince them that the populist left is right, not necessarily the populist right, or parts where we agree. Hey, great, let's work together on that. So who are we building coalitions with if it isn't the other side or people who voted in the other direction? And if we talk to them, what are we doing? Only screaming fascist in their face? Or are we having a human conversation?
That's all I'm hearing.
So look, this is not an attitude that I agree with. Again, there are other shows that love what she's saying. And no problem, to each his own, it's a free country. Go and love that and yell and scream and do all the things that you want to do. But do you think that after you do a joint appearance with Dr. Phil or anyone else, that the very next day all of MAGA is going to show up and go, oh, I changed my mind. You're absolutely right. No, this is a gradual process where Americans begin to talk to one another and start to learn about each other and start, oh, that's what you mean. Oh, that's how you perceived it. And we begin to have human conversations until we understand each other. Again, if you don't want to understand them and you don't want to do that, plenty of other shows. So she said, I tried to tell him nicely. Did you? Did you? Because I might have missed that part.
Guys, I love seeing the left eat each other. This is glorious because I knew after the election was over, they'll be at each other's throats, chomping each other out, roasting the heck out of each other, attacking each other verbally, blaming each other, saying that anybody who had the slightest difference in opinion was a right-wing extremist, right? I knew that it was coming because that's what they've been saying about everybody. They say it about Joe Rogan, Elon Musk. Did they endorse Trump? Yes. But were they leftist in the beginning? No. It's crazy to think that the left is losing TYT. These guys are basically independent. They're not even really leftists compared to the modern day leftists who just wants to stay in a bubble, call everybody Nazi and berate them and bully them and try to cheat their way into an election victory. Unfortunately for you, that only worked one time in my lifetime, and that was the 2020 election. 2024, too big to rig. But guys, this was a funny video, so I'm glad this dodo brain, Francesca, this propagandist, this liberal shill got fired. This person is extremely dishonest. This person is an extreme narcissist. And this is unfortunately the type of people that the left loves to breed and groom into who they are. If anything, Cenk, you only really have yourself to blame for this happening. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching The Black Anomaly.
Rising channel.
I'm out.
Obvious liars, fire them all! Fire them all!